Storytell is just launching new functionality called one-click predefined prompts. You can see them on Storytell's homepage here. So for example, I can just click into one of the featured prompts, which is a churn risk analysis, and I can literally just upload one file and say what I want and then hit go. And so these are like high quality prompts. I'm actually building one right now, and I just want to show behind the scenes about how I'm doing that. So we can see here that I'm on localhost, which just means I'm running a version of Storytell locally on my laptop, and we've got one blank spot for one more featured prompt. And these are all work prompts. I want to have one prompt that's around helping humans with conflict, because Storytell is very good at that. And so, I mean, anything with unstructured data, but humans having conflict is very much unstructured data. And so I'm reserving this spot for that prompt, and I'm building it out right now. And the way that I'm building it out is actually by typing it into the prompt bar. Now, Storytell has an advanced mode, and if you go into your user mode and you choose advanced, you'll be able to do the same thing that I'm doing. So this is not something we turn on by default, but it's something that's available to advanced users. And so let me just show you how to make a prompt in Storytell. I'll go ahead and get rid of this just so you can see it. And so I can say, hi, what is your, and then I can put in a hashtag. And when I put in a hashtag, it gives me this ability to add a template variable. Well, there are 4 types of template variables, and I can put a text input template variable, I can call it, and I can call it name. And then I'm going to say text input. I can decide if it's required or optional, and then I say create. And so now it says, hi, what is your name? So the thing that you get when you switch to advanced mode is the ability to share this draft prompt. So these 2 icons don't show up when you're in regular mode. And so if I say share this draft prompt, then I can go into an incognito browser and I can paste it in, and we can see that when somebody goes to it, they will see this. And so you can create a draft prompt that you can share as a URL. It's really powerful. I'm going to do something similar, except instead of sharing it as a URL, I'm going to make it one of the predefined draft prompts that show up on the homepage of Storytell.ai. And so I'm writing the prompt out right now. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to have it use StatTakin's PACT framework. Stan is amazing if you don't know him. But also I wanted to use Erica Anderson's clean communication framework. And so the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm actually using Storytell to create a resource that this prompt can consume to be able to provide guidance around the clean communication process. So I'm going to take you a couple levels behind the scenes here as I do that. This is a pretty advanced and like meta thing that I'm doing, so hopefully you can follow along here. But I'm in GitHub and I'm going to make a gist, and this gist is a document. So a gist file is just a place for you to put a file that can be read by a large language model, in this case Storytell. And so I'm defining here a file for Storytell to go learn about what the clean communication framework is, and then be able to use it in helping somebody. In order to define this file, I want Storytell to consume a lot of raw clean communication resources to be able to create a set of instructions for a large language model, in this case Storytell, to be able to consume. And so I'm starting by making a project called Clean Communication. Into this project, I've put a number of assets. These assets are things that we use inside Storytell, like this PDF that we use as humans to understand the different levels of communication, logic, emotions, vulnerability, feelings associated with met or unmet needs, and then the needs themselves. This is we literally pull this PDF out when we need to talk through challenging things in what we would call a clean way, using this clean communication framework. So that's one of the things that are here. I've also loaded into this project a number of resources, like giving a gold standard apology. There's just a lot in here. Like another one is the active listening framework, etc. I've got all these raw assets loaded in, and now I'm going to ask Storytell to synthesize all the data in the project and then create a framework document for an LLM to consume. You can think about what I'm doing as an alternative to like tuning or training a large language model to be very good at one thing. Like you could go through the process of tuning or training like a therapist large language model that was very good at using clean communication or the PACT framework. But instead of doing that, I'm just making a resource document that a foundational large language model can consume in order to really ramp up quickly on a certain skill set to be able to accomplish an objective. And so you're watching me do that in that process of doing that right now. We can see that Storytell is going and doing it, and it's giving us detail on what it's doing. It's searching through the knowledge base, etc. And now it's creating this comprehensive LLM training guide on what clean communication is. It's giving me exactly what I had asked for here. This is great. As an aside, something that we as humans just do not do well is this, translating emotions into need. We usually get stuck at the level of emotions. Like, I'm angry you didn't show up to the meeting we scheduled, right? That's getting stuck at level 2. The trick is to know how to descend down into level 3, which is vulnerability and unmet needs. There's no conflict at the level of unmet needs. There's only conflict at level 2, which is emotions that we use to express those unmet needs. And so being able to speak at the level of unmet needs, we didn't show up for a scheduled meeting. I felt angry and disappointed. I have an unmet need for consideration and partnership. I need to know that our time together matters to both of us. This is a much different statement than this one here. And as humans, we tend to get stuck here, and we're not going to go down here. So the whole idea is that this framework can help a large language model, can help AI, can have Storytell help a human learn the skills to be able to speak down at level 3. And so I'm making the training document for Storytell to be able to provide that guidance to a human. We can see that there's a lot here about, specific tables of feelings, met needs, unmet needs, etc. These are feelings associated with unmet needs, etc. And there's also tools that are part of this framework, like observations versus judgments, right? You're always late to meetings versus I've noticed you arrived 10 minutes after the hour for our last five meetings. So you're observing a fact versus kind of like throwing a judgment at somebody. So in this document, I'm giving the large language model these tools that it can then use to help the human later. Okay, so now I have this very in-depth document. Now I'm going to edit the answer here because I want to do one thing. I want to take out courageous candor. That's what the framework was called for a while, but it's clean communication. Now I'm going to download it. And I'm going to download it as a PDF for this Substack that I'm writing. But the thing that I'm actually going to put into the GitHub gist is the Markdown. So I'm going to say download Markdown here. So now I've got this as Markdown. Markdown's kind of like the language of LLMs. And so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it into this GitHub gist document here. And so this is, 1,300 lines of text. Now, I wish I could hold this all in my head as a human. And so now here it is. So this is the full document that we saw. I'm going to grab the raw version of this, pull off the end of the URL here. I just need through where it says raw. And I'm going to open this in an incognito browser to make sure that I've got what I need. And so here it is. Here's the basically training file for the large language model to understand everything about clean communication. I'm going to do something that's completely, optional, but just to show you everything I'm doing. I'm going to make a subdomain called framework on the clean communication domain. We can see that framework is going to pull in this gist here. Now let's test it. So framework, and we can see now that it's pulling in the gist. Perfect. So all of that so that I can now say, go learn about the clean communication framework by consuming it at, and then we've got the URL that we just made. And so now I can copy this prompt to the clipboard. Now, when I copy it, I'm just going to paste it here. You can see that it's got some variables in it, right? So these are, for example, the variables. So you wouldn't want to, like this text isn't going to make sense to a human. But when this is pasted into Storytell, it renders in a way that does make sense. The easier thing is just to share the draft prompt. And then now I'm going to go into incognito. Everything's in the URL up here, but a human doesn't really look at the URL. When I hit send, it is going to then populate with the prompt in it. So this is a way to do that one-click prompt sending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this in as the 5th prompt here. You can create draft prompts and you can share them when you go to advanced mode. And enjoy it. If you want to try using this, just go to storytell.ai. You should see it in the bottom right corner.